Angel, if I am here in Iowa, when you're out on the picket line, I'll be there with you.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, this is not like a new thing for me. I've done it my whole life. Many picket lines. And I want to congratulate Angel. And again, I want to get back to this point about the issues that you're raising here today. Angel's not just talking for herself. She's talking for millions and millions of people. Yeah, thank you. And it is not easy to raise two kids. You got two kids?
Yes.
Okay, and work, and then have the time to come to meetings, and I appreciate what you're doing. And millions of other people are going to follow what your lead is now. As I mentioned earlier, 4 years ago, the idea of $15 an hour seemed like a radical idea. But as a result of the work of, on the part of a lot of people, like Angel and the Fight for 15, okay, the SEIU, and a lot of the trade union movement, 6 states have now passed a $15 an hour minimum wage. Because, you see, the way change takes place is once you lay it out on the table, Angel makes the point, you can't live on $11 an hour. All right, who denies it? No one denies it. But unless somebody has the guts to say it and put it out on the table, then we don't deal with it. And more people are standing up and saying in terms of unions. All right, you know, I think I've been in Congress a long time. I have a 100% pro-union voting record. Okay, why is that? If you talk about why, I want you to think about this. The average worker today, that's what Angel is talking about, today is making pennies more an hour than he or she did 43 years ago. Right. There's been a massive transfer of wealth, but it's gone in the wrong direction. Right. It's gone from working families to the top 1%. Right. Okay? And one of the reasons for that has been the decline of the trade union movement.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So, good news is we're seeing, I just was meeting with Rich Trump, who's head of the AFL-CIO a few days ago. Yeah. And what he was talking about is we're seeing to some degree, and Angel is about that, kind of a militancy on the part of working people that we haven't seen in many years. All right? If I am not mistaken, and I don't think I am, there have been more strikes in the last year where workers have stood up doing exactly what Angel is talking about all over this country than we have seen for a very, very long time. So working people understand the point that Angel is making. They are sick and tired of having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the table. Now, you don't get rich by making $15 an hour. What's your healthcare situation? Do you got any healthcare from your employer? But you got, no. Yes or no? No. I mean, it's barbarous. So you're working $11 an hour and you don't even get health care. All right, so what I want to tell you is that we introduced and will introduce legislation which understands that unless we grow the trade union movement and give workers the ability to stand up collectively and fight for their rights, we're not going to reverse the decline of the middle class, okay? So what does our legislation do? Not complicated. First of all, it repeals states' right to impose right to work legislation. You all know that right to work means right to work for less. Okay. Second of all, it says that if we were all, working for a company and a majority of us voted to form a union, we signed the cards, you have a union. All right, that means you don't have to, it's called the a card checkoff. Yes. All right, so in other words, you don't have to go through a whole lot of rigmarole and opposition from the company. You can simply form a union when a majority of workers sign a card saying they want to join that union. Right. And if the employer does not negotiate a first contract in a reasonable way, that employer will be severely penalized. So we want to make it easier for workers to form unions, to engage in collective bargaining, to fight for decent wages and decent working conditions. And that's what that legislation is about. All right, last point that I want to make is that, and why I like meetings like this, if you just take a look at what's happening in the country, child care dysfunctional, right? Working families can't find it. Teachers inadequately compensated. We're not having good people going into education. Kids can't afford to go to college or leaving school deeply in debt. Half of the workers in America are living paycheck to paycheck. Angel raised the question of housing. There are millions of people in this country who are spending 40, 50, 60% of their incomes on housing. So how do you spend 50% of your income on housing? What do you have left? What about transportation? What about food? What about this? What about other basic needs? You don't have it. Which is why we have to build millions of units of affordable housing for people to work for. Now, last point that I want to make, because this, let's see the stop sign. But other than said it, we don't pay attention. Because people say, well, that's great, Bernie. You want to make affordable child care available. You want free tuition in public colleges and universities. How are you going to pay for all this stuff? And I will tell you how. This is what gets back to the very first point that Ross made. How much in taxes did Amazon pay last year? Anyone know? Zero. Amazon wasn't alone. Amazon is owned by the wealthiest guy in America with $150 billion. Did not pay a nickel in federal income taxes last year. Dozens and dozens of corporations are the same. Wealthy people, corporations stashing trillions of dollars around the world, not just in tax havens in the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and so forth and so on. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. There is not one word that anybody up here has said that we cannot afford to do. But what we have got to do is tell the billionaire class in corporate America that we will no longer tolerate their greed. Their greed is a sickness. You would think that if you had a few billion, it might be enough, but apparently not. They need billions more. All right. So what this meeting and what your organization is precisely about is bringing people together around an agenda that works for all of us and not just the 1%. And I'm proud to be here with you and proud to work with you on your agenda. Thank you all very much for